was approved. And I think the latest thing they've been voting on has been integration into the Cosmos ecosystem. And so they're working, they've got team members working, helping Sushi Swap integrate. They got team members helping Binance integrate, and also the Cosmos. I think they're going for Atom initially. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I think from everything I've been seeing in the timeline, I think we're right at that curve at the bottom of the adoption curve. I think uh, I think anyone that gets in and is still uh, uh, doing their homework and getting into good projects and building a position, you probably have till this next bull run before I think you're gonna see that as curve start to just level off a little bit. So basically, I think the next 4 years, just man, just accumulate, get your ducks in a row before it starts to slow down.
I think we're definitely reaching the next level of the technology. And so, what's going to be possible here in the next couple of years versus what's been possible so far going to be radically different.
I agree. I believe if we're looking at this as four quarters of football, this is halftime, and I think the next bull run will be the third quarter, and then the one after that will be the fourth quarter. Now, have you provided any liquidity with Zen on any of the networks? I haven't yet. I'm
No, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
yeah.
I, I wouldn't be interested in doing that yet. I
Yeah,
think it's a
I usually like to wait
it's a
for the
losing
for
game.
the
It's a losing game for a
yeah.
while. I'll let somebody else do the losing.
Yeah, I usually like to wait for it to do its thing and find a foundation where we can uh, uh, draw a better understanding of what the move's gonna be. I do love that these gas fees on Ethereum here are get me in the single digits, man. We're at 14 right now. Let's see those single digits so we can attack the network. Now, what are your thoughts on the staking mechanism? Because I heard
Well,
Richard,
pretty
I mean
simple.
not Richard, I heard Jack the other day. He was talking about it. He said that he would like his game plan is to let's say once the 285-day hits after the 5,000 watts or whatever it is, and he said that he would just do the max and then stake for 1,000 days or whatever many days after that point. And he said the reason why is because um, you're gonna do way better with what you're gonna receive minting for the 285 versus the yield. He doesn't mind losing, 3% or 4% on the yield for the staking. So I've been doing the numbers, and I'm like, I have it as a moving target. Where is it going to make sense to like start to like stake for a certain amount of time, or is it, because you have to make that decision. You have to say, hey, do I want to do some early stakes to stake, or would I rather just keep minting and hit that sweet spot where you're going to be able to say, hey, look, 300 was the best time to mint because you caught that great APY with the amount of tokens you receive, because there's going to be like from now to 1,000 days or whatever. There's going to be that sliding scale where it's like I don't mind losing a percentage, but how many coins am I going to get versus if I go sooner and get a percentage of 2 on APY. So when he said that, I was like, interesting. So I'm not really looking for to do yeah, I mean, it's 20% APY. So I mean, even if you whatever you minted, in the next 2 to 3 months, and you lock it up for even if you're trying to do like these rolling 20% APY, because you could take anything before these 90 days that I would do. If you can look at those mints and say, okay, so let's just say they're each 100,000 or 200. Let's just say they're 3 million Zen, you could say, all right, let's throw one out for 400 days, 500, 600. So you could even capture the 20%. You could build a staking ladder with that as well. And once it drops to 19, you could do the same thing. You capture, whether you decide it's 100 days in between or whatever. Um, so there's a lot of interesting like moving parts with this protocol that I think time will tell, and you'll be able to adjust your strategy because there's a lot of moving factors. There's the market. The main thing is going to be price performance and the market, right? Because we're going to know 6 months from now, like what you minted, what happened, should you have done something else, went longer or shorter. So that's why it interests me a lot, because I'm like, and the fact that it's been a week and we're on 3 chains. It's like, come on, it's a no-brainer.
Somebody has a lot of background sound.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have my mic on.
And I mean, if you look at this protocol, it's like you can mine, pay electric bills, or you just pay the gas. And if you're paying the gas, and it's because remember, you're getting in, but you got to get out. And if you decide not to get out because the fee to get out, you could just buy the coin on the market. If you're invested in the project, either way, the gas fees are being used for whatever decision you make. So it's almost like you got to keep an eye on the trajectory of the project within the specific project blockchain, whether BSC or whatever, and Ethereum, because you have to understand that if this picks up, you're basically betting on, you're always betting on that chain's native token. So I tell a lot of people, I just like this coin, and what it's doing, and I'm like, look at the activity on the chain, because by nature, if you're positive on this token or this project on this blockchain and it's doing volume, you're bullish also on the native gas token, the native token of that blockchain. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of these. It's like, just let's just say he ends up releasing it into 5 or 6 in the next week or two. The way I see it is you're placing a bet, you would on a football game on all 6. You're gonna see which one's gonna pop off. So that's interesting, but also something some people are not keeping in mind is that there's always that exit. You know, so like me, I'm keeping an eye on Ethereum because I'm like, man, I'm just like, oh, I'd love to see it drop dip down to like 600, 650, snatch up some for those hex stakes and for all the claiming for all these wallets. So keep that in mind. Though you should be looking at the native tokens. When you have those dips, if you're running enough wallets, you need to be picking some of that up so that because if I'm also looking at the timing of some of these. He did it for 100, and then it kicks up to like 25, 300, and then if you notice how it keeps going, and you know how these bull markets are timed, you know that the fees are not all things being equal, and history rhymes. You know that you're gonna need. You don't want to be that day like, oh man, I got this. You want to be able to buy that the gas for any of these chains on in the bear market, preparing for to have to move, to provide liquidity, to do whatever it is, to sell whatever it is that you're gonna do with them. So that's something to keep in mind, guys.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about any of that for about 1,300, 1,400 days.
Uh, why that time frame? You're not looking at it from you're taking into an account. You're taking into account the 1,000 days stake, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much using the same strategy that Jack was talking about because I think that sweet spot is getting as many of them 1,000 day stakes in at the 15, 16%, 14%
Yeah.
even.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So you have this bear market and the next bear market basically to to accumulate, and the ways you know all these multi-chain things are going, you could see, wow, damn, it's just Ethereum now with becoming deflationary and stuff. I'm just keeping an eye on it because I'm just on any dips on these gas assets. I'm just snatching them up unless I see some of these chains not
Well, that's just
adapting.
it. There's a
Then
lot of unknowns that we don't know if somebody's going to build something. I mean, I'm sure there are people already thinking of things they can build and figuring out, how to work the mechanics of that proof of burn into stuff. And this token could very well go from very inflationary to flat or deflationary in a short period of time.
well, you know, me being Hexagon and coming from the Hex community, you have all the maxi contracts, and that's basically what they do. They pull it together so that the the like end stake fee it is divided by how many people put their assets in the pool, and that's it. I think you're going to see a lot of that because if Hex can do it, I mean, you have Hedron, Icosa, and now with Maxi, I mean, the Maxi guy is building to bid on the HSI stakes. He's building Poly, so he's building a contract where you'll be able to deposit all of your Hedron to bid on all the HSIs coming up on November 14th. And so it's like, those are all 15-year HSI stakes. So he's already built Maxi. He built four. This is his sixth project that he's building. So I'm
Where are they at with
pretty
that?
sure.
They solved how they're gonna have who's gonna do the buying. I haven't really kept up.
Yeah, well, actually, DivCatcher, who coded and created most of all these derivatives off of Hex, he actually comes on it's a 30-day challenge because he's trying to get it done by the 1st of November, around that time frame, before the HSI auctions hit on November 13th. So he actually streamed on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I'm familiar with the
Yeah,
project. What I was asking about is
yeah,
the have they come up with a mechanism for who's gonna do the bidding?
yeah. Well, that I saw he had a. I didn't watch it yet, but he had a stream the other day about. He talked about it briefly about the execution of it. Like, should it be someone? And I think his focus is more on the parameters of the HSI stakes that they're trying to go for. His understanding is that they should try to go for um, the highest T shares, obviously, and then the highest T shares that have that Hedron launch bonus. So that's like, and then it trickles down from there. And then he also said that he's building something so that the remaining Hedron, let's say there's remaining Hedron for um, after all the bids, because you're not guaranteed you're bidding to get the HSIs that you want, um, to create a pool for dropping that hedron into the hedron staking to earn ICOSA. So he's already working on that as well. So he's already looked further into it. You know.
Yeah, they still have a dilemma. The dilemma is who 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 goes in and looks at the auctions and picks which ones to bid on. Hey, sorry, Blue, I didn't see you had your hand up.
Hey Jack, how's it going? Hey everybody. Yeah, they're gonna have an executor. They're gonna have an executor who basically bids, and yeah. So
How's that executor picked? I just saw somebody else flash on there. Hey, if you just raised your hand and I missed you, just put it back up again.
that's what they're
Okay,
trying to.
got him.
That's what they're trying to decide now. Um, yep.
That'll be
Someone,
interesting to see what they come up with because it's a neat idea, but it does require somebody to pull the trigger.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and but I mean that's the one kind of spot which it's kind of like you're relying on one person. I mean, they have got limited power, I suppose. Like I mean, the way they could wreck it is just to overbid, like bid the whole lot onto one thing, so they just have to out and out. I don't know. I suppose you could also.
Well, make them like like validators, where people have to vote for who is the executor, and executors have to like put themselves up and put up tokens like a validator does to be I don't know, considered for the position. And then if people aren't happy with their outcome, they could vote them out to be moving their delegation to a different executor, right? And then if people aren't
Yeah, but
happy
it's a
with their
one.
outcome, they
Yeah, I
could vote
mean,
them
it's
out
a
to be
it's a
moving their
1 day thing
delegation
though,
to
isn't it? Or
a
just a few
different
days,
executor.
maybe a few days thing.
And then if people aren't
Yeah,
happy
but it's
with
a
their
one to
outcome,
come in.
why would
Yeah, I
they
mean,
vote them out
it's a 1 day thing though,
Can't they
isn't
do
it?
something
Or
where
just a few
like
days, maybe a few days thing.
be
if you can
longer
set a
term?
time,
Yeah,
if
but it's a them to come.
you can
Yeah,
set
I
a
mean,
time frame for all the
1 day thing.
depositors
Can't they do
of
something where
Hedron into
like
the contract.
Few days
And
thing.
let's say the auctions are November 13th. You can say you got to have your Hedron in by the 10th, let's say. And there's 3 days where you give them, because he's targeting certain HSIs, and you let the community who deposited that Hedron by 10th have 3 days to vote which HSIs, like out of the group. Like he'll give them a list of 200 or 500 that meet the criteria, because he's determined there's a criteria for the ones they're going for. It's the most T shares and the biggest Hedron bonus. Then this way, the communities basically, at least you're going to target. It's not going to be perfect, but at least you're going to target the first 100 HSIs that the community, at least that put their Hedron in, is trying to get. And then after that, it'll just be a trickling off effect where the ones that got voted right under that hit, and then if you try to get it, you might not. But I don't know how that would work in essence. It's probably more coding that he'd like to do, or more work. But I think that's like, because you want to get everyone in, and everyone that's in, whoever's interested in voting, you just say, hey, look, these are the 100 HSIs that we want to try to initially bid on. You guys let us know, and then you can kind of even based on the voting percentage, you can say, hey, this was got voted the most, so we're targeting this one, and then based on vote percentages, you can run that down the list.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to come up with. But they're going to be doing that for months, right? Like, isn't it going to go on for months and months, like kind of on end, buying?
Yeah, but there'll be tons in the first day, and then it'll
Oh,
taper off. But it'll
what?
go for a lot. I mean, it's still happening. There's still ones that are getting, swapped and into the contract.
Right. Yeah. So what's the first day? What date is that?
I think it's November 13 or 14 or something like that.
So coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, just a month away.
November
Saw a
13th.
slew of them too.
Hey, hi, Blue.
And the
They notice you.
Hey, g'day. I can't say who's talking.
and beautiful thing is,
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
you need Hedron. You only need Hedron. I mean, it's designed beautifully. So if anyone wants to bid, you gotta have your Hedron. And if you're trying to capture that yield, you have to decide because some people are going to decide, I'm not bidding on this first batch. I'm going to wait for the 120 day or whatever it is. And they're just going to stake massively the day or two before just to capture all that sweet, juicy yield. So, uh, again, I'm a blended approach guy. So I'm going to be heavily staked before with funds ready to possibly pick up some awesome deals.
Sounds like you got it going. Yeah. I think targeting, picking out, ones and having some sort of list or targeting, because, there's just so many if you want to make bids. I mean, how many people are
Yeah,
just going to come at the last minute though, like just put it at a little bit over something? Oh,
that's
That
what I mean.
5 minute delay could make things drag out for a long time, right?
yeah. And everyone's eyes are going to be all over them.
Especially the really good ones. Is there a lot of them in there that have the bonus amplifiers?
There are quite a few.
That's
There are
amazing.
there are quite a few. Yeah. There are
Can't
tons
believe
of small ones in there as well. And I was thinking
I have a
that
hard time believing people gave up them 10x bonus amplifiers.
I
Really.
know, I
Like any
know,
of them.
I
They're going to
know,
be so valuable in the long run.
I know. Well, that's why I think I want to go after those, obviously.
Now,
Your second chance to pick one up since inception, huh?
Well, it's
now,
And
just
think about it. The people
it's
who
just
bought those, all of us that bought those originally, we were doing that without even knowing that icosahedron was a 2 token system.
yeah,
So how many people didn't do it because they thought, oh, this is a shit design, because he'd only really told us about half of his design. He hadn't really told us the other
I
half
think
yet.
most people would have claimed the bonus at least if they knew about if they were that deep into it. They would have at least claimed the bonus.
I don't know. A lot of people
But
walked
yeah,
away.
but making HSIs, that's a little bit different. Gives you a bit more flexibility, doesn't it?
now,
Yeah,
um,
like the system,
what do you
how it's
guys think?
playing out.
What do you guys think if like because some people did give some of those 10, 9, 8, 7x bonuses. But what do you think if you have a stake that had a 9 or a 10 and it was coming out late 2024? And you did the numbers and you saw that what you were going to get back was, in that time frame, 1.5 billion um, Hedron. This is on the native stake, not an HSI, a native stake. you're going to receive 1.5 billion from here to like the end of 2024, and you had a 9x bonus, let's say, and you sold that because no, you didn't sell it. You emergency end state, and you knew that those funds were going to be able to buy you 15 billion hedron.
Hey, just
See,
quick.
because
I
you
want to
did see a lot
mention
of people.
we're getting a little off.
You did,
We're getting a little off topic here, so I just want to say if anybody has any Zen questions, feel free to raise your hand. If you're muted, I'll unmute you, or just chime in and ask because it's really a Zen chat. But so don't feel like you're interrupting anything.
So what was the choice? I didn't quite. Like, can you put the choice into
okay.
something?
You have a hex native stake, not an HSI, a native stake, and you knew. Remember, you're ending the stake, so you're giving up the yield or whatever that's left. It was over 50%, so you're gonna get your principal back. But um, from now to the end of the stake, you were gonna get 1.5 billion hedron. But instead, because there was a lot of emergency end staking happening for people emergency end staking that were over 50% of their time and taking that to buy hedron. So in this situation, if you just waited it out and finished your stake, you were going to get 1.5 billion hedron. However, if you ended that stake and took the funds and the hex you received, and this is on the main chain, on the hex you received, and sold it, you were going to get 15 billion hedron instead. Because there's people that were doing that. So like,
Yeah,
I want to
I mean,
know your take in it.
obviously I wouldn't do that. If I wanted to buy more hedron, I'd keep the stake and like find another way to get the hedron probably. If that was my only choice and I really, really wanted hedron, no, I'd keep the stake because hex and hedron are going to go up in price together. Like, yeah, there's going to be fluctuations, there's going to be differences, but basically, like if hex goes up, hedron goes up, and hedron probably will pull hex up once it reaches a certain point. And at some point, the hedron price will probably overtake the hex price as well, but that's really, really long into the future. But yeah, I'd just no, because you have the 1.5 billion and you have the hex stake with all of that interest, and there's probably tons of interest. I think.
Correct. However, remember this was a stake ending at the end of 2024. All right. So you do have the 1.5 billion hedron and whatever hex you were going to earn, right? However, now you're going to have 15 billion hedron for after the auction start to possibly get. Let's just you had 100 T shares on that one, or 50 or whatever it is, to possibly be able to get now the 15-year T shares, and maybe some of those have bonus multipliers or not, but you're going to get a 15, and you turn your 50 T share stake that was due in 2024 possibly by buying off of auction into 100, 150, and you still had you got your 12 billion, so it might cost you 4 billion. So at the end of the day, you know I guess you really have to ask yourself, do you really want that cash out in hex in 2024, or would
If
you
I
be
really,
comfortable picking up?
if I
Because
was
remember,
really,
here's the thing. Here's the thing you have to keep in mind. It was a hex native stake.
Lex, just one
yeah,
second.
yeah.
Jack, just because there's a question in the chat on the EAA, just to remember, it goes down 1% every 90 days. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 90 days. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, so it's so you can't sell it as an NFT, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Correct. Because basically what you're doing is you're saying, let me get my 15 billion hedron. It was native stake. I'm gonna try to I'm trying to take that 15 billion to go into the auctions and now have HSI, which is doing like a
Oh,
liquid hex stake because you
I
can
see.
sell it for a COSA. You see what I'm saying? It wasn't an HSI, it was a native stake. So that's why a lot of people were asking, like, who are all these people, EESing to pick up hedron? And when you think about like, well, if they were native stakes and they can get a lot of hedron selling the hex, and they're good, and their plan is to bid for these 15-year and some of them can have the bonuses still, bid for these 15-year HSIs. They're basically liquid hex stakes because you can always sell them for ICOSA. So that's why when everyone was like, "Oh, these people are idiots," I'm like, it could be true. We won't know till after, but you have more options, is what I'm saying, as opposed to holding to that native HSI because it was a 2024 stake. It wasn't a 2020, like a 15-year stake or anything. It was something that was already 50% completed, So
Yep, yep, yep.
yeah.
Hey, sorry to interrupt again. I'm confused because I remember Jack had came in on the first day of ETH launch and he had mentioned that the EAA went down. It was already at 9.9, and I think it went down more so. How is that if it's every 90 days? Is it progressive? Wasn't it related to the amount of users also?
Yeah, the interest on the yield on the stake goes down by 90 days. The EAA goes down by user count, right? So it goes down by 0.1 every 100,000 users.
Okay, that's it. Okay, every one on that it's fixed like that. Everyone, it's like a gradient. Every 100,000.1. As simple as that.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's already down 0.2, I think.
Did they announce anything about launching on Polygon?
Polygon launched today, and we're talking next Avalanche.
Ah,
So Polygon's live now too. We're on 3 chains.
and how did it go over on Poly?
I haven't looked at it recently, but not as fast as Binance. Binance was like
That was
incredibly
mental.
fast.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Faster than
Polygon was
Ethereum.
yeah, fat. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Finish
I
your
don't
thought.
know. I don't think you'll hit the max of Binance, but in terms of onboarding, I think it's quite fast. Maybe even faster than Binance. The speed, the initial speed at least, just taper down somewhat. So chain wise, it is faster than Binance for sure. But in terms of what's going to be the maximum number of addresses claiming, certainly it doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near to Binance.
That's interesting. Hey, I would have thought something like Polygon was where if you did have, a whole lot of bots, that's where you could go pretty crazy for a pretty low cost. Maybe
Yeah, the cost, I think at the moment, the cost is about 2 cents of gas, 2 to 4 cents of gas for a claim.
yeah.
Whereas on Binance, it around the same time yesterday, it was 23 cents, about that. But it looks like a Polygon chain is handling it pretty well, and handling the load pretty well. I mean, if you put in, let's say, 4 cents transaction, you're gonna get claim within less than 20 seconds, 30 seconds maybe.
What are they costing for the fees?
Um, 200 and 44 Gwei the lowest. So yeah, but in terms of dollars and cents, dollars is, I mean cents, it's about 4 cents.
It's not gonna get much cheaper than that, is it? Maybe Phantom.
Yeah, but this is a really good test. I think it's a really good experiment for sure to see how much load the blockchains can actually take, and what if you're talking about something like Pulse chain, it gives you certain expectations on how the blockchain should perform, especially in launch day, because we're just a few hours into the launch now.
I'm convinced Pulse Chain is going to be a beast. The best thing that could have happened for Pulse Chain was all this delay because there is so much data to sift through that you can see how everyone performed with these forks, these projects on these different chains. As far as liquidity, I mean, it's just, I can't wait. I can't wait. When Pulse Chain is released, I have to take at least a week off of work and brew a lot of coffee.
Also, there was talk that a project like this would be similar to a DOS attack, in that it will overload the blockchain that goes out the window, their theory. So I love little experiments like this because it proves a certain point that whoever are running bots, they would have to pay the gas fees anyway. And at a certain point, it won't make any sense to claim anymore if you're not really sure that you can get the returns on your investment.
The reason why I'm placing my bets on the different chains for this Zen is because honestly we don't really know um on which blockchain it's gonna take off. There's a lot of developers of different blockchains, so who knows what's gonna create something that just makes it fly. And it could be Ethereum because it's the main one, but you're excluding a lot of people with the fees because half of the world can't pay those fees. So you just never know. I don't mind getting a percentage of fees on many transactions that are lower. If 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 you don't have, I mean, why not just diversify, spread it out, see which one uh, takes off, which one's performing better, and then slowly move the capital from the others into there. I mean, that's what I think I'm going to be able to do.
Hey, Butters Cross-Chain Maxi, is that name an old name or a newly created name?
So anyway, you can actually onboard people and pay their gas for them. They can with 10 cents, you can onboard a person, teach them how to swap if necessary, teach them how to claim, mint, and stake. How about that?
I'll give them $1. Let them play for weeks.
And they'll get busy for weeks. Yeah, absolutely. You'll teach them
Some people,
blockchain. You'll teach them tons of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be cheap, right? Give them a whole dollar.
yeah. And it's very different to do it on a test net. This has actual economic value, right? So you will get more realistic numbers in terms of the trading and stuff like that later on or now itself.
What are Matic?
Because on the testnet Zen can go to up to what, $3 or something, I heard, on Pulse Chain testnet at one point, and it's unrealistic. So this is going to give you a more realistic, cheap to learn place.
Yeah, Matic tokens are 77 cents. So send somebody one Matic and they can play for days.
Absolutely, yeah. Much better than giving them sending out postcards, right? Value for money wise.
I'm minting right now for 12 and 10 Gwei. It's anywhere from $2.84 to $2.25.
Your mic is really low, mate.
You're not lying, man. These gas fees on Ethereum, they're a beautiful thing.
Sorry, I was just saying minting for $2.84 right now. And if you trigger it yourself with the gas, you can go to 10 Gwei. It's like $2.25 or something.
Oh, and ETH, yeah, that's right. And I tried a 1.9 cent claim on Matic and went through on Polygon.
So I had a bunch of 3-day claims come due yesterday. I claimed them, but I didn't sell it because there wasn't enough money in profit. I'd like to stake it. Can anybody explain the staking feature to me? I didn't expect to be staking this quickly, but I got a crash course in crypto this week, so I'm
You're in the 20
interested to learn.
percentile. You're in the 20 percentile range right now, so you can just stake them from 1 to 1,000 days, and you'll get 20% APY on those.
I would consolidate your wallets though before you do your stake.
Ah,
Yeah, maybe consolidate them into a hardware wallet created address if they're not already.
yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah, and then it's just click one button, stake them, and they'll get burnt. You won't see them anymore. And
When you hit claim plus share, you can share it to one main address and then just do your stake from the main address.
And that's actually what I was thinking is if you don't want to sell it because the price is not there, obviously, the best thing to do is just stake it. Like what you're thinking of doing, send it to one master wallet and you stake it. And when you get that price pump, who cares about the APY? Unstake, you don't lose the principal and sell on the open market. So it's basically it's like holding liquid, but staking. Now, if the price never goes there for a year or whatever your terms are, I say do it long because when you end that stake, you're still getting all your principal back. It doesn't matter if you do 1,000 days, 100 days. It doesn't matter. Like all that matters is that if you, it's like holding liquid basically, but you might earn. So shorter might be better because you're getting the 20% APY, and let's just say the price spikes in let's say you do 20% APY for 30 days, and the price spikes within that range. You can cut it off and boom, do it. But if you're staking out for like uh uh let's say 200 days, but the price spikes in day 31 or 32, you have a 30-day stake. You completed your stake, you got the 20%, and then you can sell. So So that's something to think about, like when you're locking in these stakes. There's mechanics there that you got to work with, knowing that you're not losing the principal ever.
How does
And so,
APY work?
well, it's the annual percentage rate, but it's going to be prorated to whatever time frame you served. You know what I mean? It's 20% if you served the entire year. But if you only served, like I had a buddy of mine call me. He's like, he staked, but he's like he wants to move them to another
So
wallet.
if I
And I'm
stake
like,
for
bro,
365 days, I get 20%.
You
yes,
get
you're getting
20%
20%.
regardless of how many days you stake. You get 20%
Yeah,
APY,
you
yearly
still get
percentage rate
20%. Correct.
for the
From
life
what's
of
the
the
Correct.
start
stake.
date of that? The start date of that's when I start the stake, correct?
Yeah, yes, and depending upon what the rate is at the day you start the stake, that's the rate that's locked in for the length of the stake, regardless of how long it is, between 1 and 1,000 days.
Could you repeat that? I don't quite
So,
understand.
okay, so the rate starts at 20%, and for the first 90 days, anybody that begins a stake in that 90 days gets 20% APY for the life of the stake. After that 90 days, the interest drops to 19%, but the person who staked at 20% is still getting 20%. So that then, if you stake in the next period, the APY is based on the time frame in which you begin the stake, and it's locked in for the length of the stake between 1 and 1,000 days. But the interest rate's going down every 90 days by 1%.
So
So
globally
here's
it
an
goes down.
example.
Go,
The
yeah,
the
for
global
people starting a stake. But if you're already staked, you're getting whatever percentage rate was in effect at the time you began the stake.
So if on day one I minted 100 days, I'm gonna miss the 20%.
Yeah, you'll get 19%. When you mint, you'll be eligible to stake for 19% because it's after the first 90 days.
I'm glad I did a bunch of short stuff.
Yeah, well, you can stake them now and get 20%. And you might, if you're just going to sit on them, you might as well just do the max length because you probably never get that 20% again. It's only going to be for people who minted less than 90 days and
Oh,
minted and staked.
so it'll be every year for whatever 1,000 days
It's
is.
almost, yeah, it's almost 3 years, but it'll be 20% a year, right? Annual
Right. So
percentage rate.
I lock it. If I go max length, then I get locked
Yep.
in to the 20% per year for the almost those 3 years.
That's correct.
Cool. You guys are awesome.
Yep.
I love
Cool.
Zen.
But here's another
So
thing to
much
think
fun.
about. Here's another thing to think about, guys. Let's say you claimed the price isn't where you want it to be, and you're like, I still want to keep it liquid. You can do a 30 day, a 30-day stake, a 60-day stake, and an 89-day stake because you're trying to capture that 20%. And if within that 30 days it doesn't hit the price that you want to sell at, well, just guess what? You just got 20% on those 30 days. Hold that liquid, or you can still do that same stake again for another 30 days. Because remember, you got 89, so it drops to 19%. So at the end, worst case scenario, all that happens is everything you were holding liquid, it's earning interest because you roll them into 30, 60, or however you want to do it to the 89. The 89, the price isn't there. You capture that 20%. You can lock that in and do another 30, 60, 90. So you can keep locking that on your liquid bag. You know what I mean? Like, and then there's ways to play it where you can keep your liquid in time frames before the next percentage drop kicks in, and you'll always have liquid because you're doing 30, 60, 89, or whatever it is. You're gonna have to calculate when your stakes are, but this way you're earning at least something while you're waiting to possibly provide liquidity on the market when the price is right, or sell take some off the top whenever you want to. So that's a
But if you do
another
30
way to kind of
days,
play
but
it.
but if you do 30 days, you're not going to get 20% APY. It's going to be prorated, right?
No, you're getting 20% APY. You're just getting it for those 30 days.
Correct. At the bottom,
APY is annual percentage rate. So it's going to be calculated based, you can take 20% and divide it by 365, and that's how much you're getting per day.
Right.
but here's what you just got to keep in mind. It's prorated. It is APY. But instead of sitting in your wallet liquid while you're waiting for a price pump, you just took the Zen you have and you said 30, 60, 89, or however you want to do it. Don't forget that you can stake for any time period. So you could even do, depending on the chain, obviously your strategy is going to be based on gas fees. So you could do 15, 30, 45. Just understand that you'll be able to earn why basically why you hold liquid till the price comes. And if it doesn't come at day 89, you're locking in at 20%. Just do that again for another whatever you decide, 30 days or whatever. At least that's. But after that 30 days ends, you understand it's going to be 19% once you start that new one for 30 or 45 days. So there's multiple ways to play it, but
Max at
at the
that
end of the
point.
day, you're earning something. You know what I'm saying? You're earning something while you're holding liquid.
Send me a copy of
So
your spreadsheet, Lex. You must have a spreadsheet built for this, right?
I don't have a spreadsheet built for this. What I have is I earlier when I got into chat, I talked about how I'm setting up my stake my minting so that let's say while it's 1 through 10, 1 through 15 or 30 days or 300 days or whatever, then I always know that while it's 20 through 30 or it's 90 days or whatever. And what I'm doing in is once I sit down, I know when they're up, I do them all in one shot because I'm not trying to do this every day, guys. Because you got to automate this. You sit down, and the same time you're claiming and sharing, you send to the master address where you decide what you want to do with those funds. But at the same time, you're already in there. I mint for the next 30 days if that's my 30-day batch. You see what I'm saying? Like don't keep it organized so that you this the the system seems very simple, and it is, but it's designed perfectly for strategies. Like you can do different things based on how, how you want to do your thing. Like, is it 90 days, every once a year, every 6 months? There's ways to do that. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing that you have to keep in mind, this is why I love that it's on multiple chains, is the gas fee is going to be your decision making. Like,
You're
okay,
gonna have to
so
pay gas every stake
exactly. So
or
so let's say
unstake.
someone that doesn't exactly. So let's say somebody that doesn't have a lot of funds in Ether, and you're doing the main chain, the Ethereum chain. I would say longer is better for you because you do 90 days, 60 days. Hopefully, I mean, maybe you're retired and you have money and stuff, and you have wealth. But if you don't and you're working a job, you just need the fees for that 60 days when they're due, Ethereum fees or whatever it is. And furthermore, you shouldn't wait for that day. You should keep an eye on Ethereum leading up to that day so that when it dips, hopefully to $600, you're like, boom, let me buy my Ethereum for the next, transactions I got to make to claim. So I have a spreadsheet that's just about organizing my batches because all you want to do is know that every Sunday or whatever, or every Sunday, every 2 weeks or every month, you sit down, you do your 10 or 15, whatever it is, and then you do that batch for the same time frame because you want to keep rolling them. And at the same time, so you, remember, you send them to your master wallet, and then the master wallet, because you just want to keep. If you already took the work to set up 200 or 150 wallets, you just want to keep reusing those, but you don't want to keep the funds that are coming out every 30 or 60 or 90 days in that wallet in case something happens. Ultimately, this should go to your Vault wallet, and then once you decide what to do with that, you send it to your staking wallet, whatever, which could be another vault. So you just have to decide how you want to do it.
Thank you. Jack, you made a statement
If you
earlier that they burn and you don't see them anymore.
Well,
How
because
do you
they're
track
burnt,
them
right? Like the balance in your account, when you stake them, the tokens get burnt. They no longer exist. You're now staked. So I haven't
Well,
staked, so I don't know if it gives you a placeholder or it just records your address someplace in a table that says you're staked. It'll probably show up on the UI under the stake tab. If you log in you connect your wallet to the DApp and hit the stake tab. Hold on, I'm trying to connect mine. I just want to say there's a hashtag mint sheet. If you type in hashtag mint sheet, it'll take you to the link where I uploaded my tracking spreadsheet. It's a starter one. I need to go through and make sure the formulas are all correct, but you can see how to keep track of the batches of addresses if you're doing rolling mints.
So once your stake is over with, you get the principal minted plus the yield minted back into supply.
One yes, then you'd get principal and interest minted back into your address. Correct.
Yeah, I said that so guys don't think that the supply is getting limited or whatever or scarce because it's gonna get
Well,
reminted as soon as you claim it back.
yeah, it yeah, but there will be a lot of people who lose their addresses or die in the meantime or whatever, and so there'll be some that don't get minted back, but generally speaking, yeah, hopefully people show back up and mint their tokens, right? And there's no time delay on that. So if you don't show up on time to mint your tokens, they don't go anywhere, and you're not losing anything. You're just not getting any interest on them. You could show up a year after the 1,000 days and still mint them back into existence.
that mint sheet, where's it gonna show up? I typed it into the
If you
chat. Then
if you type exclamation mark mint sheet, I think that's what the trigger you put on it. Exclamation mark mint sheet, it'll give you the link. So
yeah,
global ranks at
there it is. Thank you.
265,000. Yeah, yeah. And again, it might have some errors in the very last column on the right is the one that's doing the calculations. And I clean that up a little bit so that it stays blank until you actually put something in the minted tokens column. But all the blue fields are just user data that you fill in. It's just the user data that you're going to need to keep track of your addresses and the mints, right? It's real simple, nothing complicated. Yeah, on the stake tab, I would assume that it's going to show you how many you have um, staked, but the tokens themselves will be burned, and it'll show you your current APY and how many tokens you have staked uh, if you connect to an address that has a stake in it. So BSC's just over 2 million seems to have slowed down a little bit. 2,083, 2,083,976 on the global rank. And Ethereum's obviously slowed down because the fees are coming down.
I think everything's slowing down because a lot of people somewhat disappointed of the charts. They don't understand.
Yeah, right. And that's fine. That's good actually. You get rid of the pump and dump speculators. They can come back later after the chart sorts itself and price discovery happens. They were thinking if they came in and they got here early and they grabbed a bunch of tokens, they would be in for the big pump and they could sell it and create the dump. It's just not how this token's designed, but you can't tell them and they won't read. They buy before they ask any questions because they're afraid if they don't hurry up and buy, they'll miss the pump. And it's just training, especially on the Binance side. It's just training that people have acquired from taking too many vacations in the shit token forest, right? Like they just got accustomed to that's the way it works. So you get
Yeah,
those those new token sniffers and everything, they're just like literally bots that will, you go launch a token on BSC, you're the only one that knows it's launching, and the bots will buy it before you can, because they're sniffing out a new token and they just jump into all of them. They just buy all of them. It's crazy. Like, you can't even launch your own token, and if you don't have it written into the code that it allocates you the tokens or whatever ahead of time, the bots will beat you to your own token. That's how insane it is. They're just completely speculating on pump and dumps. So we're at 806,373 global rank on ETH. So things have tapered down a little bit. That's nice. Fees will come down a little bit. Now we can get on to the business of just teaching people how it actually works. Now that the crazy FOMO is done on those 3 chains, and everybody's kind of either reached the conclusion that this isn't what they thought, or it's a scam. It's a scam. It's going to zero. You'll get that next. And they'll just keep pointing to the chart all the way down in the price discovery. And then they'll ultimately be wrong. And it's just a process. Just got to keep going through these processes, these iterations. It isn't a short play, though. It's kind of a long play. And I'm glad to see people are getting it on the Binance launch, that people are starting to grasp the idea. They all piled into the 1-day mints, and now they're seeing that won't work if everybody does it, and that it's a short-lived thing anyway, and it only really worked in the first launch because so few people did it, and a bunch of people set prices high on the secondary market and provided them exit liquidity. So now the stupid people that lost their assets by providing it as liquidity, as exit liquidity for the early minters, they're gonna blame it on the tokens being a scam because they lost their money because they had no idea what the hell they were doing.
I did 10 1-day mints. I got $600 for each. Had no clue what I was doing.
Nice. Nice. So now you got a whole bunch of free tokens and more
Free
excess
gas.
free gas, which equals free tokens, right? So now
Yep.
your ride's free, but somebody had to lose money for that to happen.
But my 3 and 5 days didn't pan out too good. That's why I want to stake them.
Oh, that's interesting. I was wondering how that would play out. So you did 3 and 5 day ones too, and when you got to the mint, you were on time with the mint, and they weren't worth more on the secondary markets
Yeah, like $15
compared to what did you pay for minting?
$5, $4.80.
Yeah, so that's still a 3x.
I know. I'm not complaining. No way.
So that didn't pan out bad. And how did we don't know the 5 days yet, right? Because that's all still on Ethereum.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
I'll let you know.
We'll keep. Yeah. I would really like to know. Did you do anything longer than that, or
30,
just 1 3?
30. I did some 30s, 60s, and 90 days after that.
Okay, now you're talking my game, and we'll see how those pan out. I just didn't think the shortest term would pan out at all, but I should have figured there would be somebody. I don't know. Even even if I had thought they would, I probably still wouldn't have done it, because I don't know, hate to take it, even if they're sitting it on the table and offering it to you. You know what I mean? It's like, still feel a little bad taking money from them. But
I was so
you tell them and
excited
you
I got
tell them.
tokens. My son was screaming at me, sell them, sell them, sell them. Thank God he was thank God he was in the room, because I wouldn't have.
That's funny. How old's your son? Is he into crypto?
Yeah, he is actually. He's kind of my partner in crime at it. We got
Cool.
in
So
3 years ago, and we're doing really good, actually.
So he's got a little experience.
Yeah, we learned the hard way, though, man. We got a few issues, scammed a bunch, and fucking Coinbase, man. Ugh.
Yeah.
My
Coinbase went to
XRP,
the dark
my
side.
XRP tokens aren't coming for some reason.
They were a good.
My
They were a really
Flare,
good
my
outfit
Songbird,
when they first started out. Songbird. I didn't claim those.
they
They worth
stole
anything?
my Songbird.
Oh, because you got the airdrop within in the exchange. You're holding the.
Yeah, lots of them.
Huh.
Big money.
How'd that project ever work out? Does anything come of it?
Not yet. I guess the 26th they're gonna launch the Flare tokens.
I got hit the other
The
day.
other
I happened to send a little bit of B&B. It wasn't much, probably under $50, but I sent them from Secret Network to a new B&B address to fund for the Zen launch, and I sent them just as they shut down the the BSC network, and I was like, ah, shit, like I find out a minute too late.
Yep. I guess we're
And
early.
well, they're
Wild
still out
West.
there somewhere. I don't know if they'll turn up yet. I've put the feelers out on both sides of the network, but I'm not sure. I don't know how that one's going to turn out. I've never been caught in a network shutdown like that in the middle of a transaction. So I don't know if they go through them, if they're going to go through all the transactions that were like pending, or if they'll get bounced back. If it gets bounced back, I have
Is it on the
100%
memory pool?
confidence. I have 100% confidence
Is
I'll
it on
get
the
it
mem
back.
pool?
If they, I no, it got well. So I sent it. I sent it through the secret network bridge, right? And it cleared the bridge and went to the Binance side. So I'm not 100% sure how that works. But if it's anywhere stuck in the contract, I have 100% confidence that the secret network will sort it and put it back in my Kepler address. But and even if Binance bounces them
I
and
got
they
one
go
more.
back, then I have 100% confidence in secret network. Every time anything's ever gotten stuck or been delayed or got lost in the ether somewhere for a minute, that it always gets resolved, like always. They're really really good about it, so I'm not worried about it. And if it is lost, it is lost. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things. I just happened to send it the wrong time. Who knew you had to go see if the blockchain that you were sending to was still functioning before sending, right? Who knew?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I got to get some sleep, but I have a question about the global ranking. Is that stuff multi-chain? Does that go across the chain too, or do they have each
Each
have their own ranking?
yeah, each network as runs its own ranking because it's dependent upon addresses claiming on that network. So they'll all be different. That's why the numbers I just read off, they're all different. Like Ethereum's in the 806 range, Binance is just over 2 million. So they're all going to be different. So that the tokens that you mint will be different, and so you may yeah, the cost will be very different because the fees are all different. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all levels out in terms of secondary market price over time. I don't know how it's going to happen, but
So the Zen token on ETH is different price than a Zen token on Binance?
yeah, and it probably will be for a while because they're going to be determined by the secondary markets on that chain. However, that said, Stargate does enable, once there's common pools, like so say there's a Zen against BUSD on Binance and a Zen against ETH on or even USDC on Ethereum, those are hypothetically too hot arbitrageable. So people will be doing some arbitrage. I just don't know how it's going to work out. It's almost like a second layer of price discovery. Like there's the layer of price discovery on the secondary market on each network, and then there's the price discovery of the composability across blockchains. So it'll be really interesting to watch because to my knowledge, it's never happened before on a token with an inflating supply where the token creation and distribution is such as Zen. We know kind of how it works out with a fixed supply token because you can see Stargate has done it, and they're across 7 networks and they found price parity really quick, and they maintain price parity really good. So
So if
it
it's
is
parity, then it
possible.
would have been better to buy it on one of the other chains other than Ethereum because the gas was cheaper.
Well, technically that it's not necessarily true though, because to reach parity, one can go up, one can go down, or they can both move or fluctuate a little bit. So it really just depends on how people interact in the cross chain ecosystem. And since cross chain swaps native to native it's really a new thing, there's not a lot of people that know about it. So I would expect probably the more advanced users will be the ones making those moves, and they'll be testing the waters to see if there's value to extract. People will figure it out and extract it, right? If you leave a flaw in your contract and somebody can figure out how to milk it for money, they're going to milk it
Speaking
because
of that,
people are constantly.
this is a great opportunity to. Let me read you this, Jack, because I know you're an admin. Somebody in the chat said someone is stealing gas by exploiting FTX's loopholes. Zen token has been minted 17,000 times at zero cost, and the gas theft is still in progress, according to Twitter Explorer ETH. There are many same abnormal, same amount transfers in the FTX withdrawal hot wallet address. So you might want to take that up to the Jack and the boys if
Just
that's the
will
case.
you just reply to that message and tag Mr. Jack Levin and maybe Zenzu or ET or all of them?
Okay.
Just reply to it and tag them because they'll have more ability to do something. I'm more, any powers I have in here as an admin is more just for like helping out with the video chat and maybe pinning something here and there or whatever. Those guys are more able to deal with that kind of stuff.
Hey, Jack, I took care of it already.
Okay, cool.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Good, guys. Thank
When
you
is
so much, Jack, and everybody else who's been helpful. Lex, thank
Hey,
you. Good night.
Tony,
good
have a
night.
good night.
When is BXN gonna be on CoinMarketCap?
Well, that's kind of up to CoinMarketCap. I mean, founders of tokens can sometimes, um, you know, do take certain moves to facilitate that happening faster or slower. But it's typically up to CoinMarketCap or any ranking site what they list and when they list it, and so it's anybody's guess.
That's true. But when you take the contract of BXN and put it in CoinMarketCap, there's a lot of liquidity on the fake ones.
On the what?
When you take the BXN contract and put it in CoinMarketCap, it shows you the liquidities of
Oh, where are they ranking it?
what you mean. It's not
I mean,
about
are they?
ranking. I see a lot of fake ones there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know.
So,
Uh,
like
I
when you
don't
go
use
to
CoinMarketCap much anymore. CoinMarketCap is they were it was originally started as just some guy creating this spreadsheet basically to track his own interest in the data, and then other people wanted to see it, so he put it up as a website and eventually got bought out by Binance, I think. And so it's anybody's guess how they run that behind the scenes. I've kind of switched to some of the other market cap sites, but ultimately market cap is becoming less and less of a relevant factor as more and more tokens choose novel ideas that don't really allow for that kind of calculation to take place, fairly. So I don't know if it really matters. It's kind of like how like you see these portfolio tracking devices, and people put their tokens in the portfolio, and then they look at that number and they think that number is like realistic. But if market cap isn't really a reliable metric, because the way the pools work, if there's not enough liquidity, you couldn't get that price on every token you're holding. So then the portfolio numbers that you're looking at in your little, paper portfolio, they're not really reliable either. You're not really worth that much money. Like I know people, like to think, oh my God, I'm a millionaire, and it's like, oh yeah, if you can sell it for the $1 million, right? But
That's
if
true.
there's not enough liquidity in the pool, then it's kind of a vanity metric, like market cap. Richard says market cap's a vanity metric. Well, if that's true, so is portfolio value.
Gotcha. I have one more question. So, uh, since they're making like XN and BXN and Polygon, which one is gonna be the main thing, or is like all
Probably
gonna?
Ethereum, for for all intents and purposes, Ethereum will probably lead the pack for the short term. But I kind of have a feeling Binance will surprise people because they have a lot of dedicated users and they kind of like shit like this. So you'd be surprised. It just depends on who latches onto this and how hard they hold, right? I mean, we seen
So
with Dogecoin, crazy things can happen to tokens that were never intended to have any value in the first place.
gotcha, gotcha. So they made so many different blockchains of XN. So what will happen to the ones that didn't work out? Just
They just
is
kind
a
of
failed
fade away
experiment?
like all the other
Failed
tokens
experiment?
that,
Okay,
yeah, they just kind of
okay,
fade away. I mean, they never
yeah,
really go away as long as there's liquidity and as long as the tokens still exist in some address, but they just kind of stop being recognized, right? Like I've got thousands of different tokens that were, at one point or another were the hot shiny thing, and now nobody talks about them at all, and nobody really. I mean, Wise token for example, right? Like there's a good example. They that guy Peter was convinced that locking all the liquidity in a protocol owned pool was the answer to everything because nobody could ever rug, right? Well, now you can never ever really kill the project because the way the algorithm works in the V2 pools, which is what he locked all the liquidity in, you can never get half of that ETH. If every single token holder holding a Wise token cashed it into the liquidity pool to get the ETH out, thered still be half of the ETH left. So all he did was lock away some ETH that can never ever be withdrawn from a contract because it has no admin keys. So he had the contract create the contract, then create the liquidity pool, deposit all the ETH and half of the Wise tokens. So it created, I don't know, let's say 1 billion Wise tokens, and it put 500 million of them into the pool with all of the ETH that everybody had contributed, and then they got the other half of the Wise tokens. So even if the half that was distributed were to get all sent back to the liquidity pool, half the ETH can never be extracted. But people don't they don't think about what they're doing and what the implications are. They get an idea in their head and they think, oh, this is the answer, and then they literally won't listen to anybody that tells them that won't work and this is why. I mean, that's what we saw with Terra Luna too, right? Lots of people were telling Do Kwon that it wasn't sustainable and that it could be broken because the only thing back in the UST was the Luna token. And
I had
he
30.
kind of doubled down on that idea and refused to listen to any of them. And then, you see what happened, right? The, the project gets slammed and everybody that's invested in it loses their ass. They all get wrecked.
okay. Thank you so much.
Somebody else was starting to talk and I cut him off. You want to jump in?
Jack, I want to ask you a question. Are you ready?
Sure, go ahead.
Uh, Somebody was talking about there is price cap. Is it true that Zen is capped at certain price and whereby we cannot go above that certain price? Is it true? Is there a flaw
No,
in
there's
the
no
code?
no there's no cap. There's mechanisms that reduce the amount of tokens that you can mint over time, but there's no cap.
Thank you for clarifying that, because somebody in
There's no
our
there's no cap, but that does not mean that there's no limitation. The difficulty will increase as time goes by.
Whoa, your mic's echoing.
Like difficulty counts relative just as much in a sense than a cap. It's like Bitcoin. The last Bitcoin become very, very difficult to mine. This creates a pressure on the price. Same as a cap creates a pressure on the price.
thank you. That's what I believe, that Zach Levin is a very genuine guy, and he's trying to make all of us happy. But I don't know why people are fighting, because I think they're used to fighting and then sending wrong message to the whole community. I don't know what is their intention, but definitely it is hurting the community as such, onboarding people.
I think the difficult part is educating the community so that they understand what's being created and how it works. That's harder than getting them in. You can get them in with just flashing a shiny object in front of their faces and they all rush in, right? You get them in with just adoption or network effect on a particular EVM, and you can see they all what's going on, what's causing all the transactions to happen, and then they look and they say, oh, it's Zen. What's Zen? They just go rush and buy it, and then come in and ask questions. And they don't have any idea what they just bought.
But what if somebody asks you what is going to do? This coin, what is going to do? Because these people, they always take it from a different perspective. They don't look at the positive out of any project. They always look at the negative side and then take it from there. So it's very unfortunate. Anyway, guys, good night from my side. It's 12 past something. I don't know, 12:30, 12:21 in New York. See you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.
Good
Have
night,
a good
Navi.
night. Honeydews, you still minting?
Full disclosure, Jack, I haven't started yet.
Oh, nice. Oh, fees are down really nice on ETH.
Fees are down everywhere.
And when I say I haven't started yet, I have 2 mints on ETH, 7-day mints, and I just did that to test. I wanted to test the gas when it was happening, and just watching over it. Yeah, I'm gonna start. I'm not in no rush. Like, it's really, C rank, the users. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of users in the future. The yield's going to be great, and it's all about coming in. And I'm going to do it in many ways, but definitely not in a rush.
Yeah, I just wanted to get my forward rolls started, and then I'm just going to be very steady. Every couple months I'll be rolling over a batch, and they'll just be
Exactly.
spaced out.
Why? I mean, look at the fees, like the gas fees. My whole point has been like, try to get it at the best price point. And if you pay twice the gas fees, like, that's 100% right off the bat that you're screwing yourself,
That's right. It's 100%.
Contracts, like weekly contracts, you roll every week and stuff like that for years now. It's just, yeah, you know how it is.
Yep, that's my plan.
On about 100, and I've spent $1,000 in gas. My I think I'll be around 300 when I'm done.
Hey, honey deals.
What's up?
So, you want to end the chat?
Wait, I'm trying to see
Keep it
who's
or
talking.
keep it rolling.
Yeah, who's talking?
It's
Punky?
me, Goonin.
Oh, Goonan. Hey,
Want to keep it rolling or end it?
I'll keep it rolling a bit.
All right. Keep that
Uh,
recording on, if anything. I'll catch you.
Okay, cool. Bye.
Who's consolidating all the recordings? Is it Jack or ET? Senzu?
ET just got on. That's
ET,
cool.
are you the one keeping all the recordings?